So, prepare to be rocked. Ian Inaba.
Okay, so when I signed up to do this talk, I was planning to tell you all about sociopaths. It's a subject that I've been interested in for quite some time now because I think it really goes to the root of many of the problems that we face today. I was going to tell you how sociopaths are somewhere between 1% and 4% of the population and are people who, because of the way their brains are wired, lack the ability to feel empathy and remorse. This allows them to do all sorts of things that harm other people. And I'm not just talking about the lower functioning sociopaths, I'm also much more concerned about the higher functioning ones. People who ruthlessly manipulate others and are willing to do whatever it takes to win, no matter what the cost. And guess what? These tend to be the individuals who rise to the top of business and politics. And what's resulted in is that we live under systems now that are built in a sociopathic manner. Systems where winner takes all, they prioritize profits over people and disregard the society and the planet. And it's hard to break out of the systems because they also incentivize sociopathic behavior. For example, there was a survey done a few years ago of Wall Street executives where almost a third of them said that the way their pay is structured creates pressure on them to do something unethical or break the law. So I started thinking, how can we root out the sociopaths and stop them from wreaking havoc on us and the planet? I planned to come here to recruit you all to join me in hunting them down, but then I realized that I was acting myself like a sociopath. So I dug a little bit deeper, and as it turns out, the rest of the population is on a spectrum where most of us have sociopathic tendencies ourselves. I mean, how many of us have gotten so enraged at some point that we felt like we really wanted to physically hurt somebody or choke them? Sociopathic tendencies are in most of us and can get triggered by the systems and the people around us. So it's sort of like a mental virus that can get triggered in one another. And if you doubt this, let's think about yawning for a second. When somebody yawns, it often causes other people to yawn. But yawning is actually more like an empathic virus. So true sociopaths won't yawn in response to others. Now you might want to look around and see who didn't just yawn. So how can we escape the sociopathic systems and cycles that we're in? Well, I'm here to tell you that the answer is empathy and love. And now, I know that may sound like some West Coast woo-woo, but take this back home with you. The more we devolve into fighting sociopathic systems with our own sociopathic tendencies, we are just further spreading it and reinforcing it in our society. And the reason I think this message is important for you all is that most of us every day are in the business of spreading ideas to other people, and that means we have the power and responsibility for the nature of that internet connection. Now, I really don't think that, just because of this talk, everyone's going to go home and become a bliss bunny. Maybe some of you are already with me, but most of us will require a transformational shift in our thinking before we're able to embody this. What I mean by this is that we are all evolved upwards through different stages and towards higher levels of consciousness. And each stage integrates our consciousness from previous stages. If you think back to a previous stage in your lives, you can probably remember what you wore, how you spoke, or that was basically who you were. And when we see someone who exhibits attributes we held at a previous stage, we say, I remember being like that. So evolution, tells us that we all have the ability to evolve empathically. A guy named Jeremy Rifkin talks about that before modern communication and transportation, we were only empathic towards people who were related to us and lived in immediate proximity. Once writing was established and religion started to spread, we became empathic with others of the same faith. They became our people. Where most of us are now is at a stage that was created by the establishment of nation states. We not only care for our family and religious kin, but we now also have empathy for our fellow citizens. The next shift, and this will be a big one, is our ability to be able to empathize for all people on the planet and the planet itself. I believe the internet is what makes this shift possible now, and I believe you all of us, have the power to spark this today. So instead of recruiting you into a campaign to track down sociopaths, I want to recruit you into an effort to transform your consciousness and expand your empathy. Collectively, we are a powerful network of thousands of people with interconnections to millions of others. So imagine what can happen if we start spreading empathy and put a stop to spreading sociopathy. Perhaps this is our best chance of cracking the code of the sociopathic systems we currently live under and creating the just and fair society that most of us are working towards. So it is with this lens that I hope to leave you, with the ability for us to see ourselves in this moment and know that there is a path ahead where we will look back at this stage and realize that we weren't approaching our work with as much empathy and love as we could for all people, even the sociopaths. Thank you.